careful, little eyes, what you see. We've got some hard things unfolding. It's easy to get glued to the TV screen and click all the links and find out all the information and wring your hands. My heart aches. There's a cry for justice. But babies, I just want to say, don't cross over into judgment. Stand still and see the salvation of your God. Like the Israelites, when their backs were against the wall. The army of the Egyptians were behind them, and the sea was in front of them. Don't react. Just wait. Let God do what he's doing, and don't enter into the fray. Don't enter into judgment. And as much as your heart aches, as much as you cry out for justice, and as much as you wring in your hands, I'm not even going to name the things that are happening these days that are unfolding. But you know God's doing something. And there's a lot of exposure going on. Judge not lest ye be judged. I had an instance a few years ago when Michael Jackson was still alive. And I was at the time caught up into a kind of a twit of intercession. There was a place of decreeing, and there was an authority that was just obvious that God wanted his people to walk in. And I was making some decrees. And I crossed over into something. And God wants us to execute justice and judgment and equity on the earth. But not without his heart. And if he's doing a deliverance, let's stay out of it and let him do his business. But Michael Jackson was in the middle of his court case back at this time when I was in my intercessory Twitter patient. There's things moving in friends and family and you know, current events and stuff like that. I saw stuff and I was taking it. I was on point. And I got chastened at this point because I touched on these issues with Michael Jackson. And you know the accusations. He had an affinity for children. He was childlike. But I entered into some judgment about Michael Jackson, and I prayed some things I regret. And I was served some chastening from the Lord about that. So be careful. Be careful, little eyes, what you see. Be careful, little lips, what you speak. Because Michael Jackson had problems, obviously. He had problems with drugs. He had problems sexually. The Lord loves him. The Lord loves Michael Jackson. Subsequently, after my chastening, I have actually had visions, literally visions, of dancing in the glory with Michael Jackson since his demise. There's a place in the glory. There's a place of where I feel like I've had a release or a breakthrough concerning my own chastening, which I had welcomed heartily from the Lord because I was a mess. I wasn't praying from his heart. I didn't know how much God really, really loved Michael Jackson. In case in point, I mean, Michael Jackson's was allegedly involved in some things that are coming out across the airwaves, broad scale these days, and we're seeing, you know, a pretty big download of perversity that we've got to be careful how we process, lest we fall into judgment ourselves. But what ended up happening is that I was in some trouble in 2009. I was sick. I ended up in the hospital. I needed a biopsy on my liver. And what was that, June 25th, I think? June 25th, 2009? I had a biopsy. I went in and they sedated me. And they did their procedure and they took a chunk of my liver out to study it. And I was really high on Demerol. And then they wheeled me out. I came to. I was in the hospital. I looked at the television. Michael Jackson had died. He died of Demerol. He was high on Demerol. It's a surgically prescribed, hospital-only drug that he used for sleep purposes. And I was in the hospital and on that drug. And I was on the same drug that Michael Jackson was, that basically was responsible for killing him when he died. And I was under the influence of that when he died. He literally died when I was having that procedure done. It was a sign. It was significant. And I had to take it before the Lord. And it just ached me. And then it all came to me as I had my religious detox, my grace awakening. I realized I was a screwball. I prayed some really stupid things about Michael Jackson. Judge not, lest ye be judged, babies. I don't care if we're talking about Harvey Weinstein or Marilyn Manson or I don't care whoever, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, whatever's going on little St. James Island. There's obviously a network going on. Let God do his thing. Let God do his business. Let him sort through this. Let's just agree with him. When he moves out, when the waters part and it's time to go through, let's just do it. But in the meantime, wringing your hands, biting your nails, coming to judgments isn't going to do anybody any good except you. So don't go there, all right? I love you, babies. Bye.